Assalamualaikum to Associate Professor Dr. Azlina. We are from Group 8. We would like to present our project, Property Market Analysis on Residential Properties in Johor Bahru. This is our team members.
Today, I will be giving a brief overview of Malaysia's real estate market with a focus on Johor Bahru. After the pandemic, the property sector recovered strongly. In 2024, the total transaction value increased by 8.8%, showing investors are more confident. Johor Bahru stood out due to its location near Singapore, rapid industrial development, and a growing population. Between 2022 and 2023, unsold property in Johor dropped by 20%, showing higher demand and better market movement. To understand the market better, we need to look at the basic. Residential property is not just about home, it's part of economic growth and city planning. Factors like population growth, income, infrastructure, and policies all affect the market. In 2024, residential transactions in Malaysia rose by 10.4%, with Johor playing a key role in that growth. Now, let's look at the main type of resident properties. First, landed properties like terrace house, amenity house, and bungalow offer more space and privacy. It's great for families and long-term investment. Next, high-rise homes such as apartment, condominium, and service residence are common in city. Lastly, gate and guarded communities are popular among high-income buyers who want extra safety, privacy, and lifestyle fit like park, clubhouses, and even private schools.
Next is 2.3, the growth of the residential property market in Johor Bahru. In 2020, the property market in Johor Bahru was significantly disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The volume of residential property transaction dropped to 11,275 units due to the nationwide movement control order, which limited mobility and hub market activity. In 2021, the market experienced continuous stagnation, with transactions slightly declining to 10,942 units and the value dropping marginally to 4.84 billion. A notable recovery occurred in 2022. Following the easing of pandemic restriction, the volume of residential transactions jumped by over one-third to 14,718 units, and the total value rose sharply to 6.81 billion. Key contributing factors include low interest rates, renewed buyer confidence, and government initiative. The year 2023 marked a period of exceptional growth. Transaction volume rose dramatically to 23,406 units, a 59% increase, while the transaction value soared to 12.46 million ringgit, representing an 83% increase. And in 2024, the market entered a new phase of tempered but steady growth. Around 25,254 units were sold, with the transaction value exceeding 4.4 billion. The average price continued to rise, nearing 570,000 ringgit. Moving on to section 2.4, the trend of residential property market in Johor Bahru. In real estate analysis, understanding whether the market is moving upward, downward, or remaining stable is essential for assessing long-term potential and investment risk. This directional movement is what we refer to as a market trend. Identifying trend allow investor, developer, and policymaker to make data-driven decisions rather than relying on assumption. In Johor Bahru, the residential property market is highly dynamic and shaped by multiple interrelated factors such as the economic performance, population growth, infrastructure development, and government housing policies. The diversity in housing demand has resulted in a wide range of residential products, from landed properties to high-rise condominiums and affordable housing schemes.
Let's take a look at the residential property transaction in Johor Bahru from 2020 to 2034 based on data from NAPIC. To start, the most popular property was 2-3-story terrace house with the highest volume at 34,700 units sold, totaling RM 90.75 billion in value. This terrace house with nearly 12,000 units sold worth RM 4.98 billion. These are especially favored by families and elderly buyers who prefer single-level living. In terms of affordability, low-cost houses had a significant presence at 6,500 units sold, value at RM 1.67 billion. They are typically aimed at lower income buyers, often with the government support. Next up, cluster houses saw just over 4.2 thousand transactions, contribute nearly RM 3.92 billion. They are moving to vacant residential land. 3.7 thousand change hands, adding up to RM 1.59 billion. This reflects strong interest in custom-built properties and long-term investment opportunities. Semi-detached homes, specifically the 2-3 story type, had a 2.9 thousand transaction and made RM 3.42 billion. Detached homes had a smaller transaction count, just over 2,000 units, but still pull in RM 2.23 billion. Less active were townhouse with only 843 units sold, totaling around RM 234 million, possibly due to limited appeal compared to other options. And finally, single-story semi-detached homes had a lowest figures, which is 791 units sold, worth around RM 4 to 8 million. This might suggest a shift in buyer preference towards never or multi-story alternative.
Between 2020 and 2024, the residential property market in JB faced a persistent imbalance between housing supply and actual buyer demand. Despite a post-pandemic recovery, the market remained oversupplied, particularly with units that exceeded what most local buyers could afford. According to data from JPPH, the highest demand was for affordable properties, especially between 2 and 3 story terrace houses, which recorded over 34,000 transaction value at 19.75 billion. This showed that buyers consistently prefer homes that are practical, affordable, and efficiently designed. Single-story terrace houses and low-cost homes also saw strong demand, reinforcing the importance of affordability. On the other hand, developers continue to launch mid to high-end units, often priced beyond the reach of average locals. While some foreign investors, mainly from Singapore, absorbed part of this supply, it created a growing reliant and external demand, which posed long-term risk. In 2024 alone, around 40% of transactions involved home price below 500,000, clearly highlighting a mismatch between what's being built and what people can afford. Although policies like stamp duty exemptions aim to boost home ownership, they may also inflate prices without solving the core issue of affordability. Looking ahead to 2025 until 2029, JB's residential property market is expected to see steady and sustainable growth, supported by infrastructure upgrades, economic developments, and housing policies. A key driver is the RTS link, scheduled for completion in 2026, which will enhance cross-border movement and boost demand near transit hubs. Alongside this, the Johor-Singapore SEZ and Forest City SFZ. In response, developers are pivoting towards affordable and mid-range housing, especially below 500,000 ringgit. However, risks such as foreign dependency, price inflation, and mismatch between supply and affordable remain. By 2029, Johor Bahru is poised to become a southern property hotspot.
Johor property market is growing fast due to urban development, government incentive, and strong foreign interest. But with this growth, several problems are emerging, especially related to affordability, supply balance, and market stability. For the second issue is risk of oversupply from new launch. After the pandemic, developers became more careful with new launch. However, in early 2025, the number of new homes doubled compared to the same time in 2024. But sales are still low, only around 10%. This shows demand is not keeping up with the new supply.
Another serious issue is affordability for local. House prices are going up due to foreign investment. Many local, especially in B40 and M40 income group, struggle to afford home in a good area. Although 14% of transactions in 2024 for home under RM 500,000 it shows strong demand. But still, many Johor feel they are being priced out. Okay, next issue is over-dependence on foreign buyers. Johor housing market relies heavily on foreigner buyers, especially for Singapore. This is a risk if Singapore change policy or face economic slowdown. The demand in Johor could fall quickly since it depends on Singapore. Global issue like trade tension or interest rate hike can also make the investor to feel more conscious to invest.
Next issue is mismatch in affordable housing supply. There is strong demand for homes below 50,000 ringgit Malaysia, but many developers prefer to build luxury units because they bring in more profit. As a result, the supply of affordable housing is not enough. Some developers even abandon low-cost projects if they are not profitable. This creates a mismatch between what people can afford and what is actually being built.
First one is control demand by increasing affordable supplies. Current financing schemes may cause artificially demands. Shift policy focus to encourage affordable housing development, introduce developer incentive for low to middle income projects, and stricter eligibility checks for financing benefits. This helps to curb speculative demand and guide the market toward healthier growth. The second one is control new development with data and phasing. Data-based project approvals are key to preventing future housing oversupply. The recommended is make market feasibility and demand analysis studies mandatory before project approval. Implement phase launch strategies such as releasing units in smaller batch based on verified demand. This can help for better inventories controls, less risk of overhang, and more sustainable housing development.
Third recommendation is prioritizing affordable housing development in high-demand urban areas. The state government and developers should give priority to building more affordable housing units, especially in high-demand urban areas. First, they can provide an incentive like tax break or fast-track approval, and then enforce stricter law governing foreign ownership of real estate. And last, must have expand access to housing loans with lower interest rate or government-backed financing scheme for first-time local buyers, so it can improve affordability and encourage sustainable home ownership among lower and middle-income residents. Is boosting domestic demand to reduce over-reliance on foreign buyers. This can be accomplished by taking steps like making housing more affordable for residents, providing incentive to first-time Malaysian home buyers, and also promoting Johor Bahru as a desirable place for other Malaysian states to invest and live. Furthermore, improving local public service, infrastructure and job prospects. Also, regulatory framework should be improved to encourage long-term investment and speculative foreign interests, so it can promote a more stable and balanced market.
The next recommendation is provide developer in Johor Bahru with effective incentive. This is to encourage developer to build truly affordable housing through practical support. So, the recommendation from the government is, firstly, is provision of basic infrastructure. Next, faster approval process for affordable projects and reduce development charge. This is to address market mismatch, which is bridge the gap between housing supply and what people can actually afford. Secondly is to tackle rising costs, which is the incentive are especially crucial in high growth areas like Johor Bahru with escalating land and construction costs. It also can promote inclusive development as it will make it easier and more profitable for developers to integrate affordable units, especially for lower and middle income groups.
The conclusion is dynamic growth with underlying challenge. Johor Bahru residential property market has demonstrated remarkable post-pandemic recovery and growth, driven by strategic location, infrastructure investment like the RTS link, and increasing investment. The second one is strategic intervention for sustainable development. To foster a truly sustainable and equitable market, a multi-phase approach is essential. The last one is a balanced path forward by addressing the structural disparities between supply and local affordability, and by diversifying the buyer base. Johor Bahru can achieve a healthier and more resilient property market. The city property sector is poised for sustainable expansion over the medium term, provide macroeconomy stability, hold and target intervention guide its goal effectively. That's all. Thank you.